Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OTT Executive Podcast, where we interview leaders of the industry and get to know a little bit about them and a little bit from them as well. Today, we're joined by Allison Yazdian, who's the CEO of Uscreen. Welcome, Allison.
Hello, Brian. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
This is great. I'm glad we could get this scheduled. And so folks are familiar with our format. We like to start with obviously an introduction on yourself and get to know a little bit about your career background, find out kind of how you got to where you are today before we get into the current day. So Allison, who are you? What do you do? And let's jump into your career background.
Thanks so much. So I'm Allison Yazdian. I'm the CEO of Uscreen. We're a video monetization platform, basically powering white labeled video apps and sites for video businesses, content creators. Essentially, if anyone wants their own membership experience, it kind of brings in streaming, OTT, and community. We can build it for you. We can help you make it successful and help you operate it with our operator tool. So a little bit about me. I always like to start from the beginning, but I won't take forever getting into it.
How
Um,
far back do you want to go? We got time.
let's start with my great grandparents. No, no. I mean, I think a lot of how anyone is raised really sort of defines and influences sort of what they end up doing. And so I'm the daughter of entrepreneurs. So at a very young age, I sort of had this front row seat to all that is involved in being a successful entrepreneur. And my parents were merchants. They owned shops at a mall, and they were taking me along with them to the store. And rather than sort of being bored sitting there, and they could use the extra set of hands, I was sort of working with them in the business. And so they had a lot of different types of businesses. They had consumer electronics stores, they had sunglasses, kiosks, jewelry stores. My favorite was a toy store. But I really got to learn firsthand how to run a business. I would talk to customers. Especially at the toy store, they would want to hear my opinion as a kid. I would run the cash register. I would just sort of keep an eye on the shop, and I saw how hard they worked. I saw all of the upside of if we had a great holiday season and how exciting that was for our family. And we'd leave the mall at 9 p.m. exhausted, but feeling really
Mhm.
fulfilled. I also saw the downside if the economy was
Mhm.
down or foot traffic was low and how that impacted our business. And so a lot of my career has really been defined by I want to help entrepreneurs and small business owners essentially be able to like run successful businesses because I see the opportunity. I also think that the way the world is headed with a lot of technological advancements, namely AI, I think more
Mhm.
people are going to become entrepreneurs. And so when you think about my career background, I mean, I've worked in actually a lot of different industries.
So okay, I got to pause you there for 1 second, Allison. So my parents had an import shop, and
Okay.
I worked in it in
Okay.
in in middle school, going way back when. It was an Irish import shop, and they brought in like sweaters and slates and whatever, and they always lost money. And this is before I got into business. I remember thinking like, okay, you did that trip over there, you bought a bunch of stuff, and you're charging, you don't have enough margin here to cover your bills, And I just remember thinking like a business person, like, but really for the wrong reasons, I think. So,
No, I mean, I think that's what's so hard about it is like, any small business owner, any entrepreneur you meet, they have this like dream, they have this vision of
yeah.
what it could look like if they're successful. And oftentimes they're alone in building it, right?
Mm.
They don't have necessarily the expertise, they don't have the network, they don't have the resources to hire a team for it to be successful. And so I've basically gone into different companies, a lot of them earlier stage startups, and basically helped sort of build out like their go-to-market and basically their offering for different types of entrepreneurs and small businesses to actually help their dreams and their visions come to life. Because when you talk to an entrepreneur, I mean, they will get you so hooked and excited about the dream and the vision. But as you know, like business is 10% idea and 90% execution. They
Mhm.
just need the support and being able to do that. And so I, have done this at a multitude of different types of businesses. I was at an early stage startup that helped dentists, think about them. They're running their practices. These were small business owners. helping them generate new business and manage their businesses. I was at Compass, which is a real
Hmm.
estate platform, started there very early, and sort of was there for several years through an IPO and through like hyper growth. But again, we were helping these real estate agents who had these dreams really help them sort of amplify, accelerate their businesses. And then I actually got into the creator economy by going to a business called LTK. A lot of people might know them as like to know it or reward style, basically a monetization platform for content creators, right? So if content creators want to monetize through affiliate linking, through brand collabs, LTK had built technology to really support these creators in doing so. And my big insights there was yes, creators are they are entrepreneurs, they are dreamers. There's a lot of specific nuances in becoming a content creator, which we can talk a lot about today.
Hmm.
Namely, content creators are basically building their audiences, building their businesses on essentially rented land, right? They're building it on YouTube, they're building it on Instagram, they're building it on
Hmm.
TikTok, which is an incredible opportunity because, 20 years ago, for you to be able to reach a global audience immediately and for free was unheard of. And now someone can, start posting content and be able to have a ton of reach. The
Mm.
challenge is that reach is not guaranteed. They have
Right.
to know who that audience is, and the monetization, the way to make money off of it can be very spiky, if you will.
And they don't really control anything. I mean, they're creating content. It's great, quick access, right? But the downside is you don't really have full control of the business plan, the monetization, the engagement.
That's exactly right.
Hmm.
And so, I became really passionate about this as an opportunity, especially as you see more and more people becoming content creators. And,
Hmm.
content creator is a really broad blanket term, right? It's not just sort of like that a person who's posting a lot of entertainment content on YouTube, but there's a lot of people who are launching businesses through YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. And so Uscreen essentially is a wonderful solution to creators who are starting to build an audience, have a lot of great premium content. They're building that community where they want to have their own destination. They want to own the revenue. They want to own the data and the reach to their audiences, to be able to, future-proof their business and really build a sustainable revenue business, not something that's super spiky and
Hmm.
algorithm dependent.
So let me ask you this question. How do you define the creator economy? Is it just the sum total of content creators? Like what is it? What when you say creator economy, that term's thrown around by a lot of different people. What do you mean by it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great question, and it's growing exponentially. And I think there's a couple of reasons. So, creator economy has like a few different like sort of parties involved, if you will. So first, there's like the actual like social media platforms,
Hmm.
who are basically trying to get as many people to post content as possible, and then those people are the content creators. It could be someone passive who posts here and there, and it could be people who have identified what their content category is, their niche, and they're posting that content.
Hmm.
A major player in this, because if you ever get into media, there's always that major player, which is the advertisers and the brands,
Right.
right? And so they're the ones who are paying for the ads, they're the ones doing the brand deals, they're the ones who are sort of kind of funding and fueling the growth of it. And you're seeing a lot of these brands really
Hmm.
start to step up, not only them posting their own organic content on the social platforms, but also bringing a ton of ad dollars, a bunch of sponsorship and collaboration dollars
Hmm.
to the content creators who they believe are, kind of own the audience that they want to get in touch with.
So is there an inherent chicken and the egg problem here with the creator economy? Like, we all often hear about rags to riches, like viral content suddenly you have this massive audience, but we also hear like, hey, we want to syndicate your show, but we're only doing it really because you're bringing 1 million viewers or 10 million viewers with you. And so you're kind of de-risking that. Is it still possible to create audience, from scratch the way you used to, or something fundamentally changed?
It is still possible to build audience from scratch, and I
Okay.
think that's what's wonderful about these platforms is like it is a little bit of, I mean, or so we would hope and see. It is a little bit democratized in the sense of, look, if you're creating content that the audience wants the algorithm will serve that audience, and you're able to still build a lot of audience and being able to do that. And so
Hmm.
I think that's why more and more people are going into content creatorship. You're seeing creators who 2 years ago were like, I just got started, and then they're having these breakthroughs of generating a ton of followers. And again, we can even talk about like followers is not the metric. It is a metric that you have to pay close attention to, but it's not
Hmm.
the only one. And I think we've sort of like I think like 4 or 5 years ago, let's say, I think there were a lot of like, especially larger brands who were sort of looking at, what is the creator economy? Is this just a fad? I think now we're at a point where like it's in mass adoption.
Yeah.
Every single brand has a content creator, like social media strategy. They know that collabs, they know that
Hmm.
sponsorship on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok is the way to go. I think like to your point around, Netflix maybe going to a creator and saying, we want to put your content here. I think it's mutually beneficial because I think
Hmm.
for those creators, it actually gives them exposure to a broader audience. And I think for Netflix, it helps bring in subscribers. So it is a win
Hmm.
for everyone.
And is it true that the vast majority, when talking about creator economy, is unscripted content, or are we seeing a transition where you get more, production values are better, right? And you're getting your content acquisition strategy needs to really kind of look at these content creators in a different way.
I think it's anything and everything that you
Okay.
can imagine. Like there's, Dar Man, for example, is scripted content. He just started with YouTube, right? And he basically showed how much faster he can get content out that's super engaging for audiences. He's one of the biggest YouTube content creators out there. I mean, he has a massive studio out here in LA, and I believe
Hmm.
in Burbank. And so I think that's what's so incredible about it is that there's so many people who identify like a content niche or what appears to be a niche or a category, and they're building that content, and then the audience comes.
Do the advertisers follow too, or is that like a separate monetization sort of lane, so to speak?
I mean, on YouTube, I mean, YouTube has AdSense, so yes, like it's very easy for an advertiser to be able to plug in. There's
Hmm.
also a lot of different ways beyond like the actual advertising for these brands to be able to connect directly with these creators to basically create like sponsorship collaboration opportunities.
Okay, cool. So enter Uscreen, right?
And
What do
yeah.
you do and how is it different and how is it sort of enabling the creator economy in a different way? Like how did you build a better mousetrap and what does it do exactly?
Yeah, great question. I mean, for us, there's basically a lot of these of our customers, and we have thousands of customers ranging across a lot of verticals. They've basically found a lot of success on YouTube. And what does a lot of success looks like? Typically, it's long form content. They've got decent size followers, subscribers, if you will, and a lot of engagement from their community. And they've basically recognized that there is an opportunity for them to have their own destination for their community to come together. And so what that looks like is literally like white label branded apps. That's
Hmm.
TV apps. These are OTT. That's mobile apps where basically they can engage with their followers, their subscribers on YouTube, get them to sort of download the apps or even go to their website and engage with the video catalog that's additional premium content. And every
Hmm.
content creator that works with us has a different strategy of what their content looks like. So, for example, we have some creators who cater to kids, like Art Hub for Kids is a great example. Their appeal to parents is like you can come and watch ad-free content. They're not going to be on YouTube. It's completely separate. You can download the content for offline viewing, etc., through the app. But essentially, these creators recognize that they want to be able to have a direct relationship with this audience. They want to have an even more robust video catalog experience. A lot of them will turn on our community feature where they can start to really engage with the audience and the audience can engage with themselves. And in turn, the creator basically can start to build up sort of a
Hmm.
recurring revenue business. Now, not all of our creators they don't make all of their money through subscription, but the lion's share of them do. But there's also like pay-per-view, there's live stream, rentals, you name it. But it's a way
Hmm.
for them to be able to monetize this data and be able to directly reach their audience.
Hmm.
It's been, we've been around for 12 years. Our creators,
Oh, you've seen a lot of change in that time frame, that's for
a
sure.
lot of things. I mean, before this was even a thing, and that's really a testament to our founder, PJ Tai, that we paid out $1 billion, over $1 billion to creators, right? So this is
Awesome.
like a real way for creators to make money and sort of future-proof their businesses.
So let's talk about community a little bit. You opened that door when you were talking about how you engage with your audience, and that's kind of how I look at it. I'd love to get your perspective. When you think of creator economy, it's also a different mode of interacting with your audience. It's not just kind of point to multi-point. You're pushing content out. People are passively viewing. You want your audience to feel like they have a seat at the table in some way, right? And they can engage with you. Maybe they contribute in content. Maybe they can talk to other viewers. Maybe they can, interact with your talent, whatever it might be. They can look behind the curtain to a certain degree, in a curated way, of course, and feel like they belong, that they're part of something bigger. Talk to that a little bit. How important is that?
I mean, I think that's everything. I
Mm,
mean, our mission really here at Uscreen is to help these creators, these entrepreneurs scale their impact, and they're scaling it through video and connection. And I mean,
mm,
there's all these studies that have been done about the loneliness epidemic and how hard it is. I think the more
mm,
and more time people are spending on screens, for better or for worse, but they're not out in the world, they're really craving like that high quality community experience. And so for us, we know that these creators, they have like-minded followers, right? Like
mm,
people who like their content are typically similar. And so what we're seeing happen is when they turn on the community, a lot of these community members really start to engage with each other. They're meeting up in real life. They're cheering each other on. They're sharing tips, resources, best practices with each other. And it really sort of takes the whole engagement experience to the next level.
mm,
So a lot of times what our customers find is like they're building this phenomenal content, and it could be entertaining, it could be educational. And of course the community's coming in, they're watching that content, they're commenting on the videos, maybe they're participating in the live streams. But if the community really starts to take hold, that's what kind of drives the retention, because people
mm,
really feel like they're building that connection with other folks in a
mm.
digital.
It's funny that you say, because a lot of people talk about how important it is to have authenticity or whatever, but you just kind of explained why that's important. And I don't know if this is a term or whatever, but it's all about relatability. You're authentic because you want your audience to be like, yeah, I'm part of that. I relate to you. I understand you and you understand me. I remember looking at the bucket list family, their cute family that travel around the world, and they end up getting picked up, and that's a great success story where they built an audience. And I remember the dad at one point asking his daughter, like, what are your goals for next year? And she said something like, I someone suggested this in the comments, how sweet it was. She said, I just want to have a best friend. And it was hard to do that traveling around. And so I think he built a whole episode around that concept, and finally, going enrolling to a school or whatever. So, I think, that's an overused term, I think, to a certain degree, authenticity, but it means something in the creator economy, right?
Absolutely. This is how I think so many of these creators have become so successful, especially the ones who are sort of like the face of the content.
Hmm.
They are their true, real selves. And they're engaging and they build this trust with their audience that people just become super invested
Hmm.
who they are and their outcomes. And I think this is part of it is they want to support these creators. They want the behind the scenes. They want the live streams. I mean, we even have creators who will do private Zooms. Like they'll do like small group Zooms with their members as part of a subscription tier, because they know that it's a way for them to engage and really sort of inspire their audiences and bring them
Hmm.
together. And I think that for
Yeah, it's almost like a book signing, or your talents going out there and engaging with fans. Yeah,
well, and
yeah,
what I was going to say is like, look, like we could probably do several podcast episodes about what's happening with AI and AI content creation, but I think like this ultimately is going to be
yep.
is the differentiator, right? Like is the authenticity of who these people are and the way that they are engaging digitally with their communities and their audiences.
So let's do this. I got you a captive audience here, Alice. I want to pick your brain a little bit. Let's do a little case study. So, I'm the president of the OTT Executive Community, 50,000 plus, senior people in the media and entertainment industry, globally. I got a MailChimp, I've got this podcast, we got a LinkedIn group with, I don't know, 35,000 people in it or whatever. What would you recommend? Like, how would I use Uscreen, to engage my audience and to monetize it, but also build engagement with my members?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think like
This is some free consulting, so
I,
so thank you for that.
I'll send you the bill.
Hopefully my audience can benefit too.
I mean, I think the first question to you, which I see the opportunity here, is like, how would you feel about having like your own destination? And again, a lot of our customers, I mean, we have over 3,500 apps that we've deployed between TV and mobile, but a lot of them might even just start with a website where you're starting to bring your audience together. And what does that
Mhm.
look like? So first of all, I'm sure you have a ton of great video content. So it's like building out a video catalog, thinking through what that content calendar could look like. So, for example, if you wanted to live stream this podcast, right,
Mhm.
people could go to the website, be able to access the live stream.
And now you got like Meetup TV, like you got to publish, okay, at this time, this day, you got to tune in, right? Okay.
Exactly. And so there's a lot of features that we have that sort of like can help people through, and you can
So you can
organize.
do that. Check that
Yeah.
box.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can organize your content in ways. I think behind the scenes, we will, like a lot of our customers will use MailChimp, but a lot of them are actually we just launched our own CRM and marketing and automation tool. So let's
Ah.
say like you actually want to have like a premium subscription level where your customers for access to a certain set of tools, and we would kind of coach you on what that looks like, the group Zooms, whatever it might be, certain
So
videos.
they get the freemium part, part, like what do you get behind the paywall? Like there's got to be some special things they get access to. Okay.
Exactly. And like
Mhm.
we not only have coaches and consultants that can help you with that, but this is actually where like we are, because we have so much data, we can actually have AI like start to make those recommendations of how to like price based on the industry you're in and structure. But
Hmm.
essentially, like you could use our marketing, email, and automation tools to not only start collecting these email addresses, but you'll be able to segment your audience and send them automated sequences, for example, based on their engagement. So if someone signs up for a trial, they'll go through the trial sequence. If someone signs up for the first time, there's an onboarding sequence they can get. If someone says, I want to not be a member anymore, there's retention sequences, and then
Hmm.
everything in between to drive engagement. For example, like we've actually just built out our own sort of AI-based video recommendation tool. So if you think about people who have thousands of video in their catalog. I mean, it's like the Netflix problem. You sit down, you're
Yeah.
like, what am I going to watch? Now, tailored to every single viewer based on their viewer history, based on everything we know about them, we'll be able to deliver the right video to drive up engagement. And so basically,
Mm.
you'll be able to launch apps. You'll be able to launch the site. You'll have a video catalog. You can then have a community where people can start to engage each other. And then behind the scenes, we have a pretty sophisticated sort of all-in-one operator tool where you can set your tiers, you can turn on live streams, you can be able to run like the marketing and CRM and, automations. You can have access to analytics to understand
Hmm.
who's watching what. And the list really goes on from there so that you can basically manage your own kind of like Netflix like experience
Hmm.
plus this community, which is sort of like a Facebook and a Discord. So
Hmm.
back to you, like, how would you do this? I think there's an opportunity for you to sort of launch the site with the catalog.
And
Uh,
that would be a Uscreen site or would be white labeled. It wouldn't be part of the Uscreen umbrella. Like people wouldn't know. They would just be like it's a website. It's
it would
powered
be,
by Uscreen in the background.
that's right. And
Gotcha.
frankly, like this is it's interesting because we have so many customers. People may have one of our apps on their phones or on their TVs and they don't even realize it because
Uh-huh.
the majority of our customers are white label. Now, we do have like an entry level stat. If someone doesn't have a domain yet, they
So
can
you
use.
throw them in there, your content aggregator, people can get discovered that way. Okay.
That's right. It will not even discovered. They can just have their own private site. But if you own like a specific domain, it would sort of feed into that. So we're really the ones behind the scenes powering it.
Hmm.
They go to the site, you can have the freemium model, they can start watching content. You basically like, and you could have like as I mentioned before, like a sort of like a TV on demand, like a one-time watch, a rental. If they have an app downloaded, they can download for offline view, sort of like all the bells and whistles you would expect, plus
Hmm.
engaging with community. And then again, you would use our operator tool to basically be able to operate the entire site the people like the we call it the people tab, but basically our CRM
Hmm.
to basically maximize your revenue. Because at the end of the day, like our goal is to help these folks build out and create sustainable revenue. And so we're
Hmm.
basically sort of giving them all the tools that they need to be able to do that. Even if you're talking about it on YouTube, we can help build like sort of landing pages and sort of
Well,
funnel.
I was going to ask you about that because I think that's, I mean, the analytics and the engagement and all the capabilities you just talked about with the white label platform, I think is very attractive. Now, some people would say, well, I already get some of that with YouTube and I have a Substack and I can monetize behind the paywall there. What do you get in addition to what you might get from those platforms?
Yeah. So again, I mean, I think YouTube can be very like highly like algorithm dependent. You don't have insight into who that audience is. And again, like we love YouTube. Like YouTube is a critical part of
So
the
that's not the enemy. That's a feeder. That's part of your community, right? Okay.
Substack, similarly, it's on another platform. So maybe like, you can feed in your email addresses, but again, it's not video first. I mean, we
Hmm.
really are video first.
True.
It's like this Netflix-like experience.
Yep.
It's your data. Like you can literally export it at any time. It's not algorithm dependent. So it's
Hmm.
really up to you. It's your content only that these consumers are basically downloading to see. I
Hmm.
also think like a lot of our creators are putting content on there that they wouldn't put on YouTube or even a Substack because it's maybe something that the algorithm wouldn't love. Maybe it's not safe for work. Like we have a parkour brand called Store Plus. They have over 10 million YouTube subscribers. Some of that content YouTube, doesn't think is very ad friendly, but their fans love it because it's sort of like daring moves that they're doing with parkour. And so that is actually something that like their fans are like, yes, like I would subscribe for this because I want to watch this content. I want it to be sort of a lean back experience on the big screen or
Hmm.
just a way for me to be able to gauge on my phone.
So that's interesting because now you're kind of going from the creator economy to what I would traditionally call an OTT or sort of fast channel, right? Are you a hybrid kind of blend of those two? And yeah, so answer that question.
I mean, I think like we have a lot of customers who look at us as sort of like powering their OTT Netflix like experience where they have a ton of great content and they just need again someone to power the technology and help them be able to operate like those content catalogs, et cetera.
Mhm.
Fast channels again are more aggregators. We, by design do not dabble with ads. So this is all like subscription. Uh,
Okay.
and monetization through like a paywall
Yep.
uh, because we feel like there's an abundance of opportunity for creators to be able to monetize in those ways. This
Hmm.
is when they want to have their own destination, their own opportunity, and to be able to monetize through sort of subscription and other sort of one-time purchases.
And it sounds like the sweet spot might be more like higher engagement, those communities where people are committed to it. They're not like passively, scrolling through fast channels, for instance. They identify with something. So one of my gigs is the CEO for the Flippin' TV, which is a media arm of the Freestyle Trampoline Association. We can talk about that at some point too. But and that's part of what I'm trying to figure out is like what's the right where to build audience. We already have 35 million kids with trampolines in their backyards and 30 40 events around the world and everything. What's the right strategy to engage that audience? Is it OTT and fast plus like a Uscreen, or is it one or the other?
I mean, I think you want to have that embedded audience. So like my advice on that is like if you aren't already like putting the content onto YouTube, for example, to see what sort of engagement you're getting, I would definitely start there. I mean, I think
Okay.
our most successful customers are coming to us with a content library and an audience.
Hmm.
We're saying to them, okay, let us help you own that audience and bring them together
And monetize it.
and monetize like this
Okay.
incredible content library you have. And it could be independent filmmakers. It could be, we have a lot of fitness creators. It could be, there's just a lot of niche content creators. And it's not just like solo creators, like these are video businesses where they have
Yeah.
phenomenal content. They just don't want to have to hire a bunch of engineers and IT people and product managers to basically be able to launch this. They really look to us as like their shortcut. Like if someone comes to us and
Hmm.
signs up, we can get them launched with apps within 60 to 90 days.
Awesome.
And
So
these,
you're sort of like an in-house IT department, right? Or development. you've got the engagement, and most importantly, well, not most importantly, but very importantly, you have the metrics, right? Which you may not get through YouTube or, other platforms. Let's talk about, we just touched on a little bit monetization. So, obviously, the subscription's probably the biggest part of it, but how about, can you do, sponsorship? Can you do merchandise? Like, talk to those other ways, to ticket sales, for instance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question because we want these to be just a destination to bring
Yeah.
the audiences together. So, yes, like on the sites and on the mobile apps, you can actually, if you have like a Shopify store, or if you have a live event, like a live ticketing event, you can actually like embed that into the app. That's something we actually launched late last year, and we have customers who are saying it's now they're attributing 15 to 20% of their sales through the mobile apps that we're building for them. So
Cool. And
yes,
you take care of the integration with all the different platforms, iOS and Android. Okay.
yes, we take care of App Store approvals. We sort of know how to like run the gauntlet on that.
Yeah.
We also like we have linking. So let's say you are talking about something in a video, you can actually put the link in the video so someone can click on it and be able to go straight to whatever site if it's a actual physical product, if it's an
Hmm.
event that's coming up, et cetera, because we want to have that engagement be a part of it. And a lot of our creators, look, they're monetizing a lot of different ways. Now,
Hmm.
when they come to us, they're monetizing very little through subscription. Our goal is to help that become a massive revenue stream for us, but
Hmm.
they're still making money through affiliate, through AdSense, through brand collabs. And they're doing that in really interesting ways. If a fitness instructor does a collab with, a nice high-end fitness brand, let's say, a lot of that content can be featured on their app. There's ways for them to sort of like,
You could do like pre-roll too. Is that an option, or
they can build out pre-roll.
digital banners and stuff?
Digital banners is on the roadmap for later, but
Okay.
yeah, there's ways for them to create like wrappers and whatnot so that it's very, very clear like within the subscription experience. And I think brands like that as well because they know
Yeah.
there's a highly engaged target audience there who, if I mean, if they're paying for subscriptions,
Yeah.
that means that these creators have a ton of influence.
And
Uh,
it's more fluid and natural. I mean, YouTube, I don't know all the mechanics, whatever, where you have to declare this is sponsored content, and there might be some restrictions there and everything. Wow, that's really interesting. We're just about out of time. One of the things we just touched on, I'd love to get your perspective on, is AI. Obviously, it's huge right now. Everybody's talking about it. There's a lot of different angles from, we've always had machine learning to some degree for things like content discovery, recommendation engines and such. How are you like looking at AI? You don't have to tell me your roadmap or whatever, but like, what's the future look like in AI's adoption or adaptation in the creator economy?
Yeah, I mean, I think like there's a few like table stakes that we know will remain true. And I think you're actually going to see like a like almost like a reversion to this where I think like there's going to be a huge emphasis on like the humanity of these content
Mm,
creators. I think like AI is enabling content creators to be a lot more efficient and effective and honest, almost like realize like their wildest dreams like in their content. But I think at the end of the day, like we think that there's a massive opportunity for humans to really supercharge themselves. And that's what we always tell our customers is like AI is our way to supercharge you. And
hmm.
so that is showing up. I would say about 60% of our roadmap is AI driven, meaning
Mm,
how are we helping our customers basically accelerate a lot of the admin work involved with running an OTT platform, involved with running their Uscreen. And how are we also helping them use AI to have better insights into who their customers are and create a better engaging experience for
mhm.
their audiences? So we've built a lot of different tools. I mentioned that recommendation engine for the end user to be able to view. Where is this going? I mean, I think everyone's using Claude, they're using ChatGPT. There's this whole notion of an MCP, which is basically an API that kind of lets your agent talk
An
to
agent.
Uscreen or any
Hmm.
site. We've deployed V1 of that. And so we're basically like we sort of see where the puck is going. For us,
Hmm.
it's how do we help, especially a lot of our customers, they don't have massive teams, right? And so
Hmm.
they're cobbling together, they're doing a lot of this work. We're like, how can we actually help their agents? just be able to kind of like get the work done a lot faster so that they can do what they do best, which is being authentic, building trust, building relationships with their audience.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I might just have to dip my toe in the pool here and try. Do you have a like a free subscription or a trial period or anything like that?
We do. We have a free trial. We also have like a starter package, so you can go in and for very low cost per month dabble. We have a ton, like we have our own membership app, so there's a ton of videos you can watch. We have a coaching team. Um, so I think there's a lot we can do to help our customers really take off.
Okay.
Um, we're here to help in any way possible. We're just uscreen.tv, that's Uscreen with the U. But really like, and I think that's the other thing that's amazing about this company is we have a product that works, and I've never worked with a company that is so customer obsessed. Every single person on the team is just, we're here for it with our customers. We're sitting side by side with you to really help you make your membership dreams come true and as successful as possible.
Very cool. Well, congrats on all your success. One of the things we'd like to do in this podcast, Allison, is kind of personalize some of the leaders in the industry. Is there a hobby or, interest you can share with our audience?
Yeah, I think in the last few years I've discovered and really become like a hardcore like fan of Pilates on the reformer. And so I had done it almost like a decade ago, and then life and work and family sort of took over, and I finally sort of said to myself, I got to get back into this.
Yeah.
It has absolutely, not to sound cliche, changed my life
Oh, wow.
in the way that not only do I feel stronger physically, but there's just something about that hour that sort of like cleanses and calms
Hmm.
my mind down, that it's become like a great form of therapy for me as well.
That's great. I think just having that, just the physical exertion and getting outside of work to, kind of, clear your mind of all the clutter from the business day. I think that's so important to have that.
Absolutely. And what's really special about it too, like a lot of our customers are Pilates instructors.
I was going to ask you about that. There's got to be Pilates. What would you call them? Channels? Do you call it? What do you call the use group, the Uscreen, kind of apps?
Apps,
Okay,
stores.
sure. Okay,
But yes, we have a
like,
ton of Pilates. A lot of our features really cater well to like fitness. I mean, not we have calendars, we have badges, we have streaks. There's a lot that we do to help our fitness and education and wellness instructors really be able to engage their audiences. And those audiences also love the community piece because again, some of our most successful fitness instructors, it's very niche who their audience is.
hmm
Prenatal Pilates, or it's women in their 40s going
hmm
through perimenopause, fitness, whatever it might be. So again, these communities, they want like a safe space to be able to interact, not in sort of like the public forum. And so the apps really cater to those audiences to be able to engage with each other.
And it's interesting too because I know on like the CTV space, you can only have so many, I don't know, like Cowboy Western or, certain apps geared towards different genres or whatever, where on Uscreen you can have unlimited, right? It's just what audience are you going to bring to the table?
That's exactly right. And
Hmm.
again, like we have customers who have smaller YouTube followings, but their audiences are so engaged. And if you run the math, like you don't need like tens of thousands of followers to run like a successful business, depending on the content type and the value you're offering. If you're charging 10 to 15 bucks a month,
Hmm.
once you get two, three, 4,000 followers or subscribers, excuse
Adds
me,
up.
it starts to add up.
Yeah.
And then you get into the game of, okay, how do you drive retention and engagement?
Hmm.
But again, we have a lot of tools and best practices to help our customers be able to do that.
Well, this is really exciting. I might just have to sort of document my evolution here.
Yes,
Yeah, and
please
then
do.
do a little ROI model of the time and effort in the monetization. Obviously, for me, most importantly is engaging the audience and getting the content out there and helping people out and stuff. So, listen, this is fantastic, Allison. I really appreciate your time today. Kudos on all your success. Allison Yazdian, CEO from Uscreen. This is Brian Mahoney, your host for OTT Executive Podcast. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks so much.